I think there's research that shows that what is on the phone and what your child has access to that you don't realize they're seeing is part of the problem. I can speak to that as a mother. I can speak to that as someone who's worked in youth development and someone who's designed a program that's focused on healthy and safe use of technology.
So Standing in the Gap is about giving back. It's about showing up for people who have no one else to show up for them. I am Dr. Tonjua Williams, president of St. Petersburg College, and you are listening to Standing in the Gap. Welcome to another episode of Standing in the Gap with Dr. Tonjua Williams, a podcast that is designed to help you meet unique individuals who actually do above and beyond their call of duty for work by helping other people succeed. Today, I have the pleasure of having Mary Pat King. Mary Pat King is actually the CEO of the Girl Scouts West Florida.
West Central Florida.
West Central Florida. And she has been involved in working with youth for decades. She's worked at several places, and I want to mention them because I think it will give you the context of her experience and what she has done. She has been a national leader and youth advocate for National PTA, American Diabetes Association, and Safe Kids Worldwide, and now the CEO of Girl Scouts of West Central Florida. I am so proud to have her here today. I've had an opportunity to work with her in the community, and I've seen her throughout the community actually doing things that are not all Girl Scouts. So we're going to talk today about Girl Scouts of America, but we'll also talk today about her passion for helping our youth succeed. Mary Pat, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So my first question is, tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you land in Girl Scouts?
Yeah, so I am, I've been working in youth and family engagement and education probably for about 25 years now. Wow. I started my career in Washington, D.C., though I grew up in Syracuse, New York. I started my career in Washington, D.C., and really started focusing, just fell into youth initiatives. My first client was the Department of Education, and they were doing this new thing called launching a website. And and I was charged with auditing what they currently had, a series of pages, and helping them to build a cohesive site that worked together. And really from there, it just kept going and going, where I really learned that I fit in nonprofit, and I am so passionate about making sure every child has the opportunity to fulfill their greatest potential.
You know, when I think about what your experience has been and your years of service to youth, what makes you tick when it comes to helping youth? You talked about children. What is the passion behind your purpose?
I love to see confidence grow. I love to see youth who didn't think they could do something, and then they do it. I remember when I worked with diabetes camps, I remember seeing children who didn't think they could test their blood glucose, and by the end of the week, they were testing their blood glucose with confidence and going home insisting that they do it themselves. Wow. And that's the kind of thing that we do at Girl Scouts all the time.
So, you know, me growing up, I remember being a brownie, and I don't even know if they still have brownies.
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
I didn't know if that was still there, but my mom was a Girl Scout leader, and we were the dominus troop. That was what we were in South St. Pete. And what I do remember about being a Girl Scout is being challenged to learn, to do something different, things that I never would have picked up, I never would have tried, I never would have looked at, and to gain that confidence of who I can be and what I can do. And so is that still what Girl Scouts is all about? And if so, give us some examples of some unique things that you guys are doing in West Central Florida.
Yeah, you just really described the essence of the impact of Girl Scouts.
Really?
Yes, you did, beautifully. It is the heart of a Girl Scout is really someone who knows that they can try and try again, and that their role is to make the world a better place, and that they do that by lifting other people up and by exploring and really living with their own individual sense of who they want to be. What we do at Girl Scouts is we help them discover an array of opportunities. We create opportunities for them to really take the lead and explore things that they may never have been exposed to before or explored. Great example, I'll talk as a mom. My daughter's a Girl Scout.
Wow.
I am not the hugest adventure person, believe it or not. My daughter is. And through Girl Scouts in the summer, she hikes Appalachian Mountains. She does whitewater rafting. And she comes home connected to a new group of sisters every time that filled her up and helped her to push to that next level of the adventurer that she is deep inside. I can't do that, but they do it.
But you get to me, it sounds like you get to really turn lights on for young girls, young teens, to help them really realize their full potential and how to achieve it through learning. I know I couldn't wait to get my badges. I had a sash, and you know, my mom would sew. Some of the badges were iron on. I remember that. I don't know if it's still like that, but you were ready to go to that next level and get the next badge and learn how to do some things. One of the things I learned was independence and being able to survive. Now, I didn't like camping. I can tell you that. I like the cabin camping, but when we went real camping, like in the material tents, and I didn't.
I get that.
I was scared, but what I learned was if my electricity is off, I learned how to cook, how to build a fire, things that are true survival, type things. So when I think about our girls today, we just have a large population of girls who are untapped potential. They're not Girl Scouts. They're not involved. They don't have mentors and people to teach and show them different things. What could we tell the audience about how can we reach these girls? What's going on with girls?
In Girl Scouting, we teach life skills. We help them to explore STEM careers, the health sciences, for example. We give them grit. We encourage them to, like I said, push past their comfort zone, explore and care for the outdoors, and really figure out who they are as a leader. We're not just building tomorrow's workforce, we're also building tomorrow's mothers. And that's the generational impact of Girl Scouts. And I feel like this is something that, today's youth really need and to support their overall wellness. They need that grit building experience that a program like Girl Scouts delivers.
Yeah, and I'm really concerned that we're missing the mark with our girls. And I feel that if we could build something like Girl Scouts in every community, because growing up, especially in my community, if we didn't have Girl Scouts, I know that there's a lot I would not have learned. I even know that there's a lot my mother would not have learned.
That's a key point there.
How does Girl Scouts impact the family? Because until my mother became I think she was an assistant troop leader. I don't think she was the true troop leader, because everything I got into, she led. If I did something, she wanted to be there. She didn't leave me by myself. But how does it impact families? Does it impact families?
It absolutely does. Girl Scouts is one of the few programs where, the mother, the grandmother, the aunt, the sister can be side by side, experiencing things for the first time together.
Wow.
We have Girl Scouts who pave the way for exploring all of the amazing, wonderful things that we have here. Maybe they're learning from the animal scientists at Busch Gardens one day, but the next day they're exploring the History Museum together, or they're planning to save for a trip to Europe. We have many Girl Scout troops that do that, and that side-by-side experience, I often hear from mothers, especially in our lower socioeconomic areas, say, I wouldn't have experienced this myself if I wasn't a Girl Scout volunteer. Many of our volunteers have testimonies of adult friendships that they felt they weren't going to have that kind of friendship again, and they found it in Girl Scouts. And that's the power of volunteering for Girl Scouts.
Especially when you think about you're serving the girl mentally, physically, emotionally, career-wise. in helping her become a better parent, a better citizen, and to gain the grit she needs to get into a career. Have you found it easy to find volunteers to either start a troop or serve alongside?
Time is our biggest barrier. You know, so many mothers, so many women, so many dads, all of the work today. And time is the greatest challenge for volunteerism. However, we're actually growing our volunteer pool pretty rapidly. We're the fastest growing council in the country right now.
Wow.
We're so proud of that.
Wow.
And a big part of that is making sure that we are in every community and that we're talking to families about what is your barrier to be part of Girl Scouts and how can we help to erase that barrier.
What is the barrier? Is it the cost? Is
Time.
Is time,
Cost?
time?
It's not so much cost, although there's a perceived aspect of cost, but time is a barrier. Sometimes transportation, sometimes it's the getting to places where a lot of times people are fearful of committing to being a troop leader because it sounds like such a huge thing to undertake. But really it just takes a few committed parents working together and helping each other to provide that experience for the girls. It really becomes the village for them.
I can tell you that the parents who volunteer, once they stick a toe into Girl Scouts, they're all in. And for me, I just want to know a little bit about who make all them cookies. I just, they're very good cookies, and, the parents are just serious about selling them. The girls are ready to roll.
Yeah.
How does that whole thing?
So I'll tell you, it's not the girls.
It's not the girls.
It's not the girls.
Okay, the girls don't make the cookies.
We have actually 2 bakers, and what I love about this program, it's an entrepreneurial skill program where our girls learn so much about what it takes to run a business from product development. So they actually know there's 2 different bakers. We have 1 baker. We've had challenges with product, with key ingredients, right? So they understand what supply chain management is now and what supply and demand is now. They understand pricing. They understand they, through the progression of the program from kindergarten through 12th grade, they learn a series of building blocks for entrepreneurialism so that by the end of the program, they understand the full scope of being an entrepreneur from that product selection to all the way to how do you promote the product, how do you sell it in person. It might start with just being able to look someone in the eye, and frankly, that's where it starts with a lot of our girls, to be able to be at a booth and say, would you like to buy cookies? And really look at someone in the eye and communicate effectively that ask. And many of our shyest girls become some of our greatest salespeople because they break through that barrier and then they're good. And then after they learn how to market it, they learn how to be creative in telling the impact, and they learn how to take that money and make a plan. So listen, now we have the money. What do we want to do with it? How are we going to learn together? How are we going to discover something new together? And how are we going to make the world a better place together? Wow. And they put together their plans, and that's their Girl Scout plan that funds the Girl Scout experience throughout the year. So once they start in Girl Scouts, really cookies sustains their program experience.
And it sounds to me like what Girl Scouts learn is how to run the business, but also how to prepare, plan, and how to execute that plan moving forward.
And teamwork. I mean, they have to work as a team. This isn't something, facilitating the teamwork is a big part of the troop experience. Later on, in the older grades, our Girl Scouts become the team leaders themselves.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So when you think about girls in the world right now, you know that at SPC we have Pearls with Portfolios. It's a annual girls sort of like a conference on campus, and the goal is to light that fire, get them to thinking about the potential and what they can do and how it works. And you guys have partnered with us. Actually, you co-lead it with us, and we appreciate that. And so we know that you do a lot more in the community that extends outside of your weekly work with Girl Scouts. Are there any other groups or other initiatives that you're doing either in the school system or somewhere that may not be just for Girl Scouts, but that you partner to help all girls.
Yeah, so a couple of events that we have that are really open to the public events. One is Girl Scout Fest, where girls and families can come in and they can experience a whole range of STEM, life skills, entrepreneurial, and outdoor experiences all in one day with their families. Honestly, the brothers have a great time at this event as well. But it's really all are welcome. So it's a great opportunity for our Girl Scouts to experience it. We also partner with Florida Polytech actually to do STEMapalooza, which is our one-day fair that we have.
STEM fair.
Very similar to yours in that we bring we bring astronauts there. We leverage the students who are there, and really last year we really focused on AI and how to prepare our Girl Scouts for the future workforce, because they're going to need to learn how to do that. But then at our camps, we invite groups in as well. So for example, Nature's Classroom is one of our partners, and they do programming at our camps every week during the school year.
You know, I'm so proud of the work that you guys are doing, because we really don't want to leave any girl behind.
Right.
But we know we've got a lot of them.
So many.
That are. What would you say to the audience if you have a young lady who could come to Girl Scouts? What would you say to them about the why? Why Girl Scouts?
Yeah.
What are they missing by not being a part of it?
So much of our society is a competitive environment for girls. You know, they pick up their phone and they're in competition. They are in class and academics and it's competition. They're on the field and it's competition. The audition, it's competition. But listen, at Girl Scouts, it's cheering each other on. It's making sure that we support our Girl Scouts, support their mental well-being, help them to challenge themselves, to know that they can try something. And if they fail, there's a circle around them of their friends who will say, you know what, you're okay, you can try again. And if you don't feel like you can, that's okay. Let's get you something else that's better fit for you. So that's one thing. The second thing is we need leaders in our society who can absolutely disagree with kindness and who can have civic conversation in a way where they bring forth really informed points. They know how to do the research. They're curious. They want to keep learning. And sometimes it's learning from other people and learning you might disagree with them even still, but that's okay. In Girl Scouts, we are truly representative of the whole country. In Tampa, in St. Pete, you know, we're a representative. And we may disagree on some things here and there. I'm going to have my causes I'm super passionate about that you're not. And that is okay, because as a human, you're amazing and you're an individual and we can explore together, you know, who each one is, so that we can come together in the circle of friendship, enjoy some s'mores, have a great fireside chat together. And our society and our world needs leaders who can appreciate each other in that way. Honestly, I was a young professional in Washington, D.C. in the late 90s, and it was like that. My friends were from all over the place, and we had a great time together. And we disagreed a lot sometimes, but the fun was in teaching each other different points of view. You know, and that's Girl Scouts too.
I think that one of the challenges for us as citizens is that we think everybody who is our friend should agree.
No.
To everything that goes well, everybody who likes me agree with me. And we don't think about respectful disagreements, being able to say, I respectfully disagree with you, but I see your point. And I think that teaching our girls how it is okay if she doesn't agree with you.
Yes.
We can still be friends.
We can still be friends.
Still be friends.
And sometimes we're going to make progress when we live in the gray. When it's not the absolute, but we are looking to find a place in the middle where we can make progress. Because transformation isn't one or the other. Transformation is a chipping away at a problem. And then you solve the problem, but you don't solve the problem by staying still.
You can't.
And I think that's that problem solving skills. That's
the
learning process.
Oh my gosh.
of the full program of Girl Scouting.
So I have to say, as CEO, do you feel you live in the gray?
all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
All
Don't
the time.
you?
It's exactly.
Yeah.
It's never totally black or white
No.
or clear as day. It's muddy, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And so, teaching our girls how to live in uncertainty and how to be comfortable with things not being so clear all the time. There's times things are clear, but there's times things are clear as mud. Like you,
Have you heard of Shirzad Shamin?
no.
So he's written a book called Positive Intelligence, and it's a program I absolutely
out.
I did this program right when I started as CEO, because that was actually really hard for me. Was the not knowing during new CEO, first time CEO, first time working locally during the first year of a pandemic. There was a lot I was figuring out about who I am as a leader and who I need to be for my people and how I support them and how I grow a business, because nonprofits are
Right,
businesses
right.
too, in the face of so many challenges. And, it was interesting in this program. I learned a lot about how much of it is in between your ears. Right? And what you say to yourself,
thinking.
and what you're thinking, and what no one knows that's in your mind, and how you quiet the judge and support your sage to be more curious, to be more empathetic, to be more. That's everything to do with leadership. And that program, I highly recommend it. Positive Intelligence is a really extraordinary experience that I sought a coach who helped me to do that during that time, Ellen Naster, who's a local leader here. And I'll say it was it really helped me to feel comfortable and not feel like I have to have every answer and every decision. Sometimes we have to be there in the gray, and that's okay.
It is.
I like to
okay.
wear green better, but
I see. So, I have to say, as president of a college, we do have to be comfortable living in the gray. And we do have to be okay. And I've shared this before, but we just have to be simply okay with not knowing all the answers.
Yeah.
We have to be simply okay with this is a new problem for me.
Yeah.
And work through it. Because we don't want the issue to cause us to not move forward. And sometimes we become paralyzed
Yes.
by what we hear or think in between the ears. I'm going to steal that from you. Because our thought process sometimes becomes real. Like everything we think is right, but it's not always right. And so you do need that coach. You do need that person who will talk to you and help you understand what's really happening. And I think that's great.
I think that I've studied under a lot of leadership gurus like John Maxwell, and I love all that they say, right? And then I think in reality, though, it's really not that simple sometimes. and I think what I learned during the Positive Intelligence program is it's not about what you know, it's about what you practice. And so I listen to his podcast regularly. I listen and do the meditation practice. Like, really, leadership is a practice. And some days you will not succeed at it.
Just won't get it right.
But like Girl Scouts, you try and you try again, right?
Exactly.
Like you just try again. And the amazing alumni, Girl Scout alumni like yourself in this community, it's a beautiful testimony to the impact of the program, as well as the importance of supporting other women. So many of our Girl Scout alumni, like yourself, are so supportive of the growth of our Girl Scouts and girls in general. Right now, girls suffer from mental health issues more than they have in any past. And in the early 90s, late 90s, and the early 2000s, when I've been part of these initiatives, it was really around the stigma. And I think the good news is that it's not hidden as much as it used to be. That's good news. That's scary for most parents, though, that their kids are talking about it. And I think that if your child is talking about that, embrace it.
Yes.
Love on them and get them the support that they're asking for.
Yeah, I think she's spot on when we talk about mental health and what's happening to our children, they're struggling at a younger age. Every year it seems like it goes, it's now, elementary school where children are saying, I don't feel good. I don't feel right. Something's not right. We need to, as adults, we need to pay attention to that because they are becoming very successful in their suicidal attempts. We've seen it. I think it was 4 months ago, went to a funeral of a young lady who had shared her concerns and the parents did not respond. And she went ahead and ended her life. And so I think our mental health is just as important, if not more, than our physical at this point because of what's happening. I think also our girls are so much more vulnerable at a younger age. They want to get it right. Yeah. They want to do it right. They want to be the strongest, the wisest, the best, the smartest, the most beautiful, the most kind, the most physically strong. But we can't be everything. And I think the audience needs to understand that when they're talking to their children, that all of us have a gift.
Yeah.
We all have a gift. But some of us don't want the gift we have. We want someone else's gift. Yeah. But we've got to accept the gift we have and really, work that out. And those things that we don't have a gift at, then we get friends who have those gifts who can help us with those kinds of things. But I think you're right on the mental health.
Yeah.
But do you think some of the mental issues are based upon what they're seeing on TV or listening to on the radio or social media? I'm really concerned. We grew up with music and songs that we're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. What's in the song. I don't feel that what's in the song. But I feel that some of our young girls are, internalizing that and that song or that video, it's real.
I think there's research that shows that what is on the phone and what your child has access to that you don't realize they're seeing is part of the problem. I can speak to that as a mother. I can speak to that as someone who's worked in youth development and someone who's designed a program that's focused on healthy and safe use of technology.
Wow.
It is a big part of the bullying problem. It's a big part of the mental health problem. And research continues to show that. And so how we help our girls, that's what I love about camp, right? It's a week without technology.
No technology?
Way. I mean, not really. No, we do some coding, but you don't have your phone.
Have your phone.
No, and it's hard for kids to separate from all the things, all the information they consume all the time. And it's beautiful.
That's amazing.
It's beautiful.
So we would tell parents then that we really need to check your kid's phone. Yeah. Figure out what they're looking at, how much time. Are we allowing?
Factor. I think also, I personally, I was talking about this with my teenage son recently about privacy. And kids today don't have as much privacy in some ways as they used to either.
Yeah.
And so I personally believe in privacy for my kids as well. It's their relationships. But I one of the family engagement gurus I saw speak once, she said, family engagement begins in the home, and then it goes out to neighborhood and community, and then it shows up in how you vote and how you civically act. But family engagement in the home is the most critical and the most impactful. And when you're in elementary school, you're the driver. When you're driving. But when your child's in middle school, you need to move over to the second seat and let them take the wheel. And you need to coach them on how to use the wheel. And then when they're in high school, you have to get back in the back seat and you have to let them learn, even if it's the hard way to learn.
It is.
You have to support them. You have to encourage them. But you can't be the one steering the wheel because that's their life they're forming. It's the decisions they make in their junior, senior year of high school that will lead them to the next. Listen, as a Girl Scout mom, I would love to see my daughter finish her silver award and do all of these higher accolade things. That's not her thing. That's my thing. What's her thing? She's a freshman in high school. What's her thing? Going to the Appalachian Mountains.
That's what she likes.
That's her thing. and giving your daughters the opportunity of choice and also at times privacy when they're in that middle school, high school level is I think it's very, very important.
I think too, building your child to be strong and to make those good decisions. You know, even at St. Petersburg College, we have parents who we call helicopter parents. They hover and hover and hover. The child, which we call an adult learner, is 30 years old, and the mom is still coming to the college with them and sitting with them. I could see the transition that you talked about where elementary, look, I'm mom, I'm running it.
Right.
Okay, you don't know enough, I need to
Right.
steer you. Middle school, okay, I'm gonna give you this chance. We're gonna
You
start.
talk to the teacher.
We're gonna
You do
start
that.
shifting.
Yeah.
High school, you're gonna bump your head. I'm gonna watch you bump your head. You're gonna come to me crying. I see what's gonna happen. But what happens with the helicopter parents is the kid never gets to experience any of the, I would say, the problems of their decisions. Like they don't get to hit their head. They don't get to feel the pain of their decision. So here you are at 30 years old. You're still taking your child to college. Your child to college, and we're calling our students scholars. We're calling them adult learners, but then they come to the office with Big Mama with them. And so that there is a need to make that transition. But I think the piece that for me, for the audience, is making sure that during those elementary years, you're actually teaching and showing and helping and training, embedding those good, standards, those good values.
And responsibility. In first grade, when Jenna became a Girl Scout, she's my daughter.
Right.
When she became a Girl Scout, I was the snack helper, parent helper. I was not CEO at this time. And I was super excited, showed up with my usual, very much a PTA mom at the time, and showed up with all my things. And the troop leader said, thank you. And then pushed
you
me
aside.
away. And I was like, what? She said, the girls will do it. And I said, oh, I didn't get juice boxes. And she said, what do you mean? And I was like, well, I just got cups and a lemonade. I didn't get
Individual
juice boxes. And I said, so should I do that part? And she said, no, let the girls do it. And I said, but what if they spill? And she said, then they'll clean it up.
Yes.
And I said, oh, Girl Scouts, I love this. That's great.
But what a good opportunity to learn.
It's that is it. Give them responsibility. They're going to complain about some of the responsibility,
Right.
but they need to have responsibility or they'll never own responsibility. And in a workforce that we're building for the future, we want responsible
Exactly.
people. We want people with a committed work ethic. We want people who are passionate about the causes we're working on, and we want them to show up when they say they're going to show up and do the job the way they need to be successful. The power of mentoring is so important, and I think that is another part of Girl Scouts, that they learn to seek mentors out in different, your mentor is not just your troop leader. For our girls doing their high awards, they have a high awards coach. So someone who high awards are community service projects that they do to make a sustainable change. So they might have their coach who's a high awards coach who coaches them on the process. But if they're focused on animal science, for example, we help them to identify a range of people who could be influential and supportive in organizations that they can partner with and be mentored from a different angle. And that mentoring, really, sometimes your mentor is not someone you'd expect, right?
Most definitely.
But it's the person who steps up that gives you the right advice at the right time that helps you take that next leap.
So you're teaching them how to listen,
yeah,
how to seek advice, to how to actually, sometimes our children grow up and they don't know how to ask a question. Even in college, they'll call a different office and say, my financial aid's not here, and you're like, well, okay, did you call financial aid? No. Okay, that would be a good start.
Yeah.
Call financial aid and they can help you. And so being able to get them to be inquisitive, to seek the help they need, to move things forward.
Not to wait for someone to tell them what to do.
Yeah, that part.
That's the part, the creativity. the critical thinking. This is what we want in our future. And programs, Girl Scouts and other programs, so many other programs. I feel like the arts do that overall. They really, music theater, and we're here in this beautiful music space, and it makes me think of all that my kids have learned in music theater and in chorus and in the leadership roles that our middle school teachers and our high school teachers give to students to own it. We don't need the booster club doing everything. We need the student leaders to form and to own it and to build, and that's exciting. And I love that our Girl Scouts come with all of these other experiences. They're joiners, so they will come and they will tell us about all of the other things they're involved in.
That's amazing.
And we want them to be seeking all of the opportunities they could.
What about, I can't help but, girls.
Yeah.
We're emotional beings.
Sure.
And how does Girl Scouts help them with their emotions? You know how we encourage girls to talk about how do you feel? I have a master's in counseling, and so in my background, I'm used to asking, and how does that make you feel? How do you feel? How do you guys help with emotion?
Yeah.
Because in the workplace, what I'm seeing is a lot of folks who are emotionally unhinged. I mean, that are just really frustrated, and their expectations of the workforce is not realistic. So how do you help them with addressing their emotions?
One of my friends said to me once, and it was a beautiful guidance to me, it was good advice.
Okay.
And she said, don't let anybody else bring cake to your party, right? And that's my friend Lawanda. She's just
explain that.
And that was basically, I was seeking other people's approval. And I think that strong sense of self, but how did it make you feel to achieve? How did it make you feel to try? How did it make you feel to fail. And to try again? And I think that's the part. It's a repetitive process. It's a practice of it. I think we definitely work with communication skills. I mean, girls will definitely have moments when they do not, not everybody is everybody's cup of tea, and that is okay. And that's okay. Give each other space. Sometimes that's okay. So it's also from a leadership perspective, de-escalation. I think de-escalation is one of the most important leadership skills for teachers, for youth developers, for our summer camp staff. I'll talk to summer camp. I know St. Pete College has helped us out so many times when we've said we need counselors, we need health assistants, we need some people to work at our summer camps. Listen, the people who work at summer camps are some of the most resilient people because they are in constant proactive and reactive motion all day long, trying to create great experiences and also reacting to whatever happens in a creative and risk mitigating, de-escalating way.
Exactly.
And it's really amazing. And they're between 18 and 22 most of the time.
That's amazing.
So if you ever see summer camp on a resume, hire them.
Because they're good.
They
good workers. They help.
They have been through it.
That's
and it
amazing.
helps them to know, do I love to work with kids? Or did I think I loved to work with kids because I liked being a kid? Do I love to work outside, or did I think I did because I loved being outside?
Playing outside.
Or this past year, we had 2 healthcare assistants, both 18 years old, and both CNAs, and they worked directly with our RN to care for the 24/7 health clinic. And they got to experience, do I want to pursue nursing and pre-med as my major? This is what I always thought I wanted to do. Do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
Thankfully, the answer is yes, and they'll both be brilliant at it. But it was wonderful to see their comfort zone expand and their enthusiasm for their area of study to expand.
And we know that it is said that life begins outside of your comfort zone. It's easy to stay in what you know and what you're comfortable with. So for the audience, you have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone if you really want to make a huge impact in this world. And so I do want to ask you a question. what would you tell the audience they would need to do if they want to be CEO of the Girl Scouts? Like, what would you tell them that they would need? What skills would they need? What would they need?
Well, you definitely need to understand nonprofit management. And I pursued my certified association executive, which was about 100 hours of coursework and a 4-hour exam, like a CPA exam, to learn the theories, right? All the books, all the studying. I also studied leadership. Like I said, John Maxwell
Right.
and Shirzad Chamine, and I continue to study leadership. You have to be eager to learn, and you have to learn every day. You have to learn from the people who work for you, because they're our best teachers often. And that's also hard sometimes, because you do want to understand and know, but you just, oh yeah, you're right. I have to think about that. Personally, I think you have to have a good partner at home, whether that's a best
Most
friend
definitely.
or, in my case, my husband. He is my daily guide on so many things,
That's
and he
amazing.
checks me regularly on things that, like, are you sure? Are you sure you're right about that? And you know how that is. And
Exactly.
it's a hard thing, and it's a beautiful thing, and I couldn't do the job without him being my steady voice of reason and calm. And then finally, I think you have to have really just a lot of humility, a healthy balance of humility and ego, because you have to also protect yourself in this role. Being a leader is very hard. Some people just don't like leaders just because they just don't like leaders.
Exactly.
And then other times it's like, no, listen, I need to really step back and see who is leading when I don't need to lead, and make sure they have room to lead. And I think that's something that I try to work on, and I'm still working on, and I will always probably work on, because I have a lot of amazing leaders on my team.
Right.
And we have 6,000 volunteers who are amazing leaders, and making them shine, to me, is a big part of my job.
Yeah. And I think I couldn't say it any better. So to the audience, I hope you wrote all of that down, because it is real. If you want to be the CEO of a Girl Scouts, not just troop, but the CEO of the whole region, think about what she just said, because she's trying to tell you that, look, I am a regular person. I work hard. I have a family too. And I invest my time and talent in building people and making sure that people have what they need to be successful. And that's what Standing in the Gap is all about. It is about being there and providing the resources, the time, the talent, the mentorship, whatever is needed to help that person get through that little lull in their lives to move forward. And guys, you just heard from the best. Mary Pat, thank you so much for
you
being
so
here
much.
today. I am so proud of you. And thank you for being a real member of the community, inside and out. You play a key role. But I also want to thank the Girl Scouts, because they are making a difference in the lives of many of those young ladies who maybe would have the experience to move things forward. And so I'm very proud of the work you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Keep up the good
Thank
work.
you for being one of our amazing champions all the time.
All the time, all the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.